One of the most game-changing things for me in my own personal reading life has been finding a book critic that I trust. Thinking back, I had a conversation with my mom relatively recently, and she was talking about how every book you pick up is a risk. And I was thinking about that, and I was mulling over her words, and I was thinking, yes, in a way it's a risk, but I feel so much like there is less of a risk now that I've found a book critic wherein I trust his judgments, his choices. I can read through his reviews and decide through what he said whether that book is for me or not. And the book critic that I really enjoy is Steve Donahue. I was even talking to a bookish friend recently who knows Steve and knows Steve's work, and she said, yes, it is definitely less risky. The way that Steve pitches a book, I can sort of parse out through his words and through what he said about the book, whether that book will be for me or not. And I think that that's a really invaluable quality to have. As a reader, it's great to have somebody that I can turn to and see, okay, I've really had some terrible reads lately, and I want something solid. I want something that I will probably, or there is a higher likelihood that I will really enjoy what I'm reading. And for me, that critic, that person is Steve, who has a channel here, by the way, and who, you know, if you're not new to my channel, you'll know that, like, I love me some Steve Donahue book recommendations. So I've taken it a step further recently, and I've looked through his archives of things like venues he's written for, blogs that have been sort of buried in the internet. I have uncovered some of those, and I've gone through and I've looked at some of his recommendations and compiled them into a list. And I was looking for titles that I've never really heard of that might interest you as well. So I have 5 books for you here, and I'm excited to share them with you. Also, if you're new, then hi. Also, if you're new, then just know my name is Shelly, and I love books and reading. And if you're enjoying the vibe, consider subscribing. Without any further rambling on, let's get in the meat of the video. The first book is Aeromeos by Melanie McDonald. It has 281 ratings on Goodreads and only a mere 72 reviews. So not a lot of people seem to have at least rated it on Goodreads. This came out back in 2011, and this is what Steve had to say about it. Melanie McDonald, in her slim lyrical debut, Aeromeos, recreates the story of the Roman Emperor Hadrian's all-consuming infatuation with the gorgeous Antonius. Hadrian adorned his villas with statues of the young man, named cities after him, and the relationship was an inspiration for the best-selling novel by Marguerite Yourcenar, which I actually own, by the way. In McDonald's book, narrated by Antonius, we get palace intrigue, imperial politics, and a thrilling incident during a lion hunt. Deeply felt historical fiction like Aeromeos is rare enough even in this golden age of the genre. McDonald has honed her narrative until every phrase glitters. The machinations of other court favorites, the richly detailed period atmosphere, the wary yet compulsive attraction between the emperor and Antonius, all so richly and intelligently evoked that readers are swept along, forgetting that they already know how this particular story turns out. And then he says that readers are urged not to miss it. I am intrigued. Next up is To Dance with Kings by Rosalind Laker. Now this has 3,602 ratings and 232 reviews. It was originally published in 1988, and it is a whopping 752 pages. Here's what Steve had to say about it. To Dance with Kings is a gay, playful, fat novel about the lovely and lusty peasant girl in 17th century Versailles who manages to sleep, laugh, intrigue, and yes, dance her way into the world of nobles and kings at the royal court. The book follows the tempestuous lives and love affairs of 3 generations of these women. And then he goes on to say that the author is well practiced at these meatier yet somewhat brainy historical romances, which I have been really loving, by the way. And then he says that her prose is borderline purple, but a joyous read in long stretches. Well, I I am intrigued and I kind of want it. Next is The Alexandrian by Martha Rofheart. This has 91 ratings on Goodreads and 8 reviews. Okay, I'm gonna actually read you the Amazon description. There's not a lot of information out there, and what Steve wrote was just a blurb of a thing, which, if that little blurb has got me interested, I've just become a Steve Donahue apologist over here. Okay, like, I'm so sorry. Sorry, not sorry. This is who I am. What the description actually doesn't say is that this is a novel about Cleopatra, so that's who we're talking about. So here's the Amazon description. She ruled a mighty nation and the hearts of the ancient world's greatest men. Her beauty was matched only by her passion for life and power. Some thought her a ruthless, scheming courtesan. Others worshipped her as a goddess. In proud defiance of them all, she won in her bedchamber what she could not win on the battlefield: the safety of her land and people, the undying respect and love of Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. And then, oh my goodness, so this is what Steve had to say about it. Of all the innumerable novels written about Cleopatra, this is the best, the one that comes closest to capturing accurately the characters of Julius Caesar, Cleopatra, and Mark Antony. Okay, I'm sold. Next is a book that I dug up from Steve's old videos wherein he was recommending books, like historical novel books. And this one sounded really good. At the time in the video, he said this one was exceptionally sensitive and exceptionally good. It is an alternative historical fiction, and it's entitled Resistance by Owen Shears. Now here it says that it's been rated 1,966 times and has 322 reviews. Here's what it's about. 1944, after the fall of Russia and the failed D-Day landings, a German counterattack lands on British soil. Within a month, half of Britain is occupied. The seat of British government has fled to Worcester. Churchill fled to Canada. A network of British resistance cells is all that is left to defy the German army. Ooh, against this backdrop, resistance opens with Sarah Lewis, a 26-year-old farmer's wife, waking to find her husband Tom has disappeared. She is not alone, as all of a sudden other women in the Welsh border valley of Auckland wake to find their husbands gone. With this sudden and unexplained absence, the women regroup as an isolated all-female community and wait, hoping for news. Wow, that sounds so good. That sounds intriguing. The most popular book on this list that you've probably heard of is Mistress of the Art of Death. This is by Ariana Franklin. This is the first murder mystery book that ended up being a series. So there are 40,000 ratings given to this book, and it was reviewed 3,322 times. So here's what Steve said it's about. This is the story of Our Lady Adelia, trained in the medical and forensic arts in the 12th century when such training was hardly ever given to women. I love icky, gross kind of medical fiction. This is one of the things that I like, especially if it's kind of like old-timey and experimental. I quite like that. Adelia is called to Henry II's England to investigate a series of murders, and the adventures that follow are stamped with an intelligence and lightly worn learning that adorns virtually no historical fiction being written today. The future adventures of our insightful, unsentimental Lady Adelia can only bring joyful reading to future lists such as these. So I am excited. I've had this one on my list probably the longest. It's the one that I heard about the furthest, like the longest time ago, and so I've had it on my to be read list forever, and I've always kept an eye out for a copy of it. But yeah, that marks our list. So tell me if you enjoyed this. I love digging up old titles, looking at lists, especially ones written by Steve. But yeah, that's it for me. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you, and I hope to see you all in my next one. Bye!